How you doing, Cali Crowd? As you may already know, your boy is injured. So I took my own advice, went to see a specialist, and it was thought I had developed a ganglion cyst after a particularly nasty fall while playing football. But after an ultrasound with a second consultation, it actually turns out that I have acute tendinitis of the wrist. Essentially, the crux of it is my wrist got inflamed after the fall, it got into a little bit of a hissy fit, and now it limits my range of motion. But I'm gonna stop here just for a second to talk about seeing a specialist. This is something we've spoken about quite a lot on the channel in the past, and this injury just proven that to me and just really cemented that into my mindset so much more. The initial thought was that this was a ganglion cyst. I could have never known that this was tendinitis without having to go and see a specialist, and the treatment for both injuries are extremely different. With a ganglion cyst, you need to stop what you're doing. You basically need to stop almost everything that you're doing. With tendinitis though, sometimes it can be better to move the joint around a little bit, get a little bit of blood flowing into that tendon. So, long story short, if you're injured, see a specialist. On the point about tendinitis, I don't actually know whether it's more or less frustrating that I got this injury from playing football rather than from calisthenics. I actually spend a lot of time making sure that my joints, especially my wrists, are healthy, and one random football tackle has come along and railroaded my training plans. But rather than cry about it, what I want to chat to you guys about is how I intend to keep pushing forward, how I intend to get back to a place where I can start working towards my goals, even though I've got an injury. Because injuries are part of this process. Injuries are part of the journey that we go on in fitness, and we just gotta accept that. And in the grand scheme of things, my injury isn't even that bad, and it should actually be all healed up in about 2 to 3 weeks. It's already feeling loads better, as I've only been working on pulling movements at the moment and haven't done anything that puts my wrists into wrist extension over the last 2 weeks up to today. And I'm actually optimistic over how my wrists are already starting to feel. But for now, anything that puts my hands flat on the floor in full wrist extension is off the table. So press ups, nope. L-sits, handstands. This has actually been extremely frustrating, but the silver lining is that I can still do something. I can still work towards my pulling goals and working on some more of those accessory exercises that I typically wouldn't have time to fit in my workouts every single time I train. When it comes to pushing though, 2 days ago I tested what my wrists feel like, and the pain-free range is slowly coming back, and generally my wrists feel good. So I'm ready to introduce some light work on P-bars and parallettes that allow me to do some pushing movements without my wrist going into any unsafe range of motion. Quite a few of you actually suggested parallettes in the video I did when I first spoke about this injury, and actually really good shout from you guys, because that is a really good idea. My aversion to it though was that I didn't really want to start pushing towards anything really heavy or anything really intense until I was absolutely sure that my wrist could handle it, which is why there's been a little bit of a delay with me actually introducing parallettes and that neutral grip for my wrists. But now that I'm feeling a little bit stronger, I am going to head to the gym. Scratch that, I will probably head to go get a coffee first. It's been a long day of work, I'm definitely gonna need it. Probably reply to a few of your comments on YouTube, and then go and try out the first pushing session that I've done in about 3 weeks. It's gonna be a bit scary, but we're gonna keep it light. See you in the gym. Like I said, I really wanted to keep the session light. The aim here was to start getting my wrists moving again, not to put them through their paces and smash them to bits. So I started with some light mobility work, basically a lighter version of my handstand and planche warm-up routine. This was followed by some isometrics, Here I'm getting my wrists into just outside that range that causes me to experience pain, and then pressing down with my fingers, but only at about 30% intensity. We know that isometrics are a great way to improve that mind-muscle connection, and that is important to build back when you've been forced to keep that joint idle for a couple of weeks. Next up were push-ups. I forgot my parallettes, and so I used some weights instead. Neutral grip is fine for me, no pain here, but I was also cognizant that I hadn't done any pushing movement in ages, so I took it slow with these as well. And then I just wrapped up the whole session with some leg work. Again, working on areas that aren't affected by your injury can be a great way for taking your mind out of that negative place when injuries occur. I think actually what I want people to take away from this is that despite what may be going on with regards to injuries or any pain you may be feeling in somewhere in your body, you can always work towards something. And injury can actually be time away from some of the intensity that I know us calisthenics athletes are hardwired to go hard or go home 24/7, 365. But sometimes your body just has to stop. Your body just has to pull you up and take you out of your madness and your dogma, because there may be something else that might require a little bit more of your attention. Maybe you should work on mobility. Maybe you should do a little bit more research and figure out maybe what it is that actually got you into the injury in the first place, if it was from overworking. What I'm trying to say is try and keep a positive mindset. Here on this channel, we're all about motivation. We're all about trying to lift each other up so that we can all become better athletes. So let me know what you're training towards. Let me know what your goals are. Let me know if there are any injuries in the road that have actually bumped you away from your goals or caused you any hiccups along the journey. Guys, I'll be back in the next one. Until then, peace.